Howdy again, it's Mr. Pete, your interweb shop teacher. Welcome back to my Intersanctum. And this is the second in a series of videos that I'm doing that are related to my recent trip with my wife, a riverboat trip from LeClaire, Iowa to Dubuque, Iowa, a 2-day trip. It's about 95 miles between those two cities. And the first video I showed you the belt-driven shop, but along the riverwalk there, and only 100 yards or so from the Mississippi River, is the Dubuque Shot Tower. So that's what this video is about. I do not have live footage of that. It's all still pictures, so I will narrate that, I hope. But first, what is the purpose of a shot tower? Do you know what a shot tower is? Well, a shot tower is a large structure, usually over 100 feet high, sometimes much higher than that, from which molten lead is dropped through a sieve for 100 feet, and it drops into water, and during that time, the globules, if there is such a thing, of lead become perfect spheres just from dropping, just like raindrops. And then they cool off in the water, and then they are sorted and they are polished and cleaned up and the rejects removed and all of that. And then this shot, of course, was used for shotguns and muskets and so on. That system is no longer used, but shot towers were very popular at that time. And you will see that there are several others in the United States that you can visit. I know there's one in Baltimore, one in, I think, Virginia, and one in St. Louis. And at least one of those, I think you can go in it. You cannot visit inside of this tower. It has not been used for many, many years. It was built in 1856, which is before the Civil War. So it was involved in the war effort for the Union, I'm sure, but it was only used up until 1881. And then it was used for other purposes, including a fire watch and things like that. But there was a fire inside at one point that pretty much burned up the interior, I suppose, stairs and floors and platforms or whatever was in there. And why was this shot tower located in Dubuque? For two reasons. For one, it was very close to the Mississippi for transportation purposes, and it was about 15 miles from Galena, Illinois, the home of Ulysses S. Grant, and you can still visit his home there. But the very word Galena means lead ore. So this ore was mined in Galena for many years, no longer, I don't believe. And there must have been smelters there as well, because the ore has to be smelted, it is not pure. I'm not sure of the whole process, but the raw lead then only had to be shipped 15 miles to the shot tower. So I think you might find that very interesting. All right, let's start with the pictures and I hope some useful and interesting narration. As I take these pictures, I am standing on the levee in Dubuque, Iowa. The Mississippi River is about 100 feet behind me. It's a beautiful area, and you are looking at the Dubuque Star Brewery, long out of business, but it's a beautiful building built in Romanesque architecture, totally restored. And off to the right of it is the shot tower. So the smokestack there probably is almost as high as the shot tower itself. Here's a nice view of the 120-foot high shot tower. The lower portion is limestone and the upper floors are red brick. It's about 2 or 3 feet thick at the base, but when you get near the top, the brick is probably only about 1 foot thick. And there's a nice fence around it, and it has been restored on the exterior. I photographed several of the placards that were located near the structure, and you might enjoy reading them. It will explain it very well. Here's a very old photograph of the building. Notice the railroad track there, and the train can travel across the river at that point, and the bridge is still there and it is still in use. This is a nice architectural drawing of the structure. You can pause the video to study it if you desire, And I will put still pictures of this at the end of the video for your perusal. This drawing shows exactly how it was used. The lead was hoisted to the top where it was melted and then dropped through screens of various sizes, and as it fell the 100 feet, the lead turned to perfect spheres and it cooled as it dropped into the water. This view is taken right at the base of the tower. Notice the bronze placard at the base of the tower. I think I have a close-up of that. I hope that on the tower. I think I have a close-up. Here is another shot. You can read from a different side. Here is another shot, another different side, and yet another view. These are neat pictures. An old photo from about 70 years ago, and a relatively from about 70 years ago, and a relatively recent always was brick. It looks like it had been altered or rebuilt. It looks like it had been altered or rebuilt, but that is the way the original construction. This old man was hanging around the shot tower. This old man was hanging around the shot tower, harassing me. Strong drink, and the truth smelled of strong drink, and the truth was not in him. Here are a few more pictures that I took. It's very impressive looking straight up at it. And there's several other still pictures near the end. And that concludes this little visit to Dubuque, Iowa, and the shot tower. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Mr. Pete saying so long for now, and I'll see you in the next video.